Hi, Brian. You have talked about emotions. So, can you share a little bit with us how do we work with the emotions?
Because emotions are constantly moving, oftentimes what we try to do with working with emotions is to go down and to acknowledge what we're feeling, but we're then going to search for a word to fit the feeling that we have. All right. And by the time that we're searching for the word, we also have that, okay, well, here's what we think being sad feels like. And so that's going to get in the way. And we're going to start to monkey around with our. And what happens is that then we're dealing with our emotions in our heads. And by the way, there are head emotions, all right, which are emotions that are preconceived, all right. And then we have heart emotions, which are the emotions that we're feeling. It's the difference between if you're married and you say, I love you to your partner, and you can say that from the head, or you can say it from the heart. From the head, it's, oh, this is what I should say as I'm leaving. Love you, dear. Okay. Now, that can either contain a heart connection, or maybe there isn't a heart connection, and we're doing it because that's what we think we're supposed to do. So when we're dealing with emotions, what we want to do is we just want to be there so we're in tune with the emotions that we're feeling, not labeling the emotions that we're feeling. And so an exercise that helps us to tune into emotions is when we begin to kind of look at our state of feeling, but just in relation to whether I am feeling expanded or contracted. That way, we're still staying in the feeling. Is this something that, wow, or is this something, ooh, okay, We can be pretty accurate, especially when it's big swings, when we're in a state of mind where we're really contracted. We'll be able to feel that, and in those places where, wow, what a wonderful day, or we can begin to feel that contraction, we'll get attuned to it. In reality, for us, that expansion and contraction is going on almost moment to moment. There will be things just as I talk that will put you into contraction because in your head you disagree with it, or you think that that's too simplified, or it's too airy-fairy, or whatever it is, all right? But what that'll do is that'll create a contraction, all right? You're not here, present. Now, expansions are kind of when we're opened, and we're open for connection, we're open for relationship, we're open for creating, all right, something that's just, it's an expanded energy. Are you going into the next meeting that you have? Are you going in with contracted energy, or you're going in with expanded energy? Are we even aware of what kind of energy we're bringing into our day, moment to moment? Now, we're never going to remember this moment to moment, but if we create a practice of, am I expanded or am I contracted? And we ask ourselves that 8 times a day, doesn't take any time, and we begin to start to feel it. Whoa, I'm contracted at the moment. I'm expanded at the moment. And don't get into the place to where you think that the ideal state is to be expanded. That's not the ideal state. Contraction is just as important as expansion, because it's when we're contracted that we actually see, There is an obstacle here for me to be opened. And now, what is that obstacle? And how do I begin to deal with that obstacle? Now, I can begin to go a little bit deeper into that feeling. What is creating, all right? Not at the sense of the intellect, but just at the sense of the feeling. Can I feel contracted? And then if I'm contracted, there are exercises, and we'll go over a lot of these, and there's a lot of different ones, but most of them are kind of as simple as just taking a deep breath, breathing in and going, and then going down and just, so I feel the emotion, I acknowledge it, I'm contracted. I don't label it, I'm just contracted, right? But and I begin to loosen my attraction and loosen my connection to that obstacle that's making me feel contracted. Sometimes they're big, sometimes they're small, but we begin to pay attention as to kind of where I am in this flow of life. All right, am I expanded or am I contracted? When I wake up in the morning, okay, am I looking forward to my day, or is this, a miserable day? Well, okay. And then you go about making your day miserable. It's just a way of staying tuned to what you're feeling. Expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction. There are certain people that you're already pre-programmed that when they walk into a room, you contract. Okay. Now, we're not conscious, so we don't even know that we contract. Okay. Now we're doing contraction. And by the way, if I'm doing contraction, remember, emotions are contagious. Okay. So if I'm contracted and going, then, that's going to be the energy that's out there that other people pick up on, because we're not conscious about what we're feeling. Much less being able to speak from feeling rather than speak from intellect. Because in order to speak from feeling, we have to get rid of thought. When we do that, even that begins to create an expansion. We're aware. Now, expansion, contraction is just a practice that we do that begins to make us more aware of our feelings. Now, obviously, when you have a feeling like, and these are even the good feelings, most corporate executives, when they've really achieved something great, okay, they get about 15 seconds in that feeling, all right, that, wow, that celebration, that they get about 15 seconds before they go back into, but I've got to do this, and I need to talk to, and we should celebrate, and they're back in the head. And they've only gotten just a little glimpse of that feeling. And yet, that feeling of achievement, that feeling of accomplishment, wow, that's an energy source. But we'll very quickly cut it off because we're busy and we're supposed to do things, and we don't stay with expanded feelings. We don't try to elongate them. And then we're aware of, what creates the contraction? What creates the expansion? We begin to start to do our life dance in a way that ebbs and flows and moves in a feeling way. Remember, feelings are flowing. They are not things. They're processes, and they change all the time. You can get an email from somebody that takes a crappy day and makes it a wonderful day. We can do these in nanoseconds. But we do it without being conscious. And as we use expansion and contraction, it just helps us to be more conscious. Don't judge, oh, expansion is good, contraction is bad. They're both doing the same thing. They're creating a new level of awareness and a new level of connection for us to be able to connect with the feelings that are constantly trying to bring us back into balance. But oftentimes what we do is we interfere by making it a part of a head emotion, which is not an emotion that we're feeling, it's an emotion that we're thinking. It gets in the way of us actually being aware of what we're feeling. Is the feelings that you've got in your head, are they authentic? If they're authentic, they're feelings. They're alive. If it's what I'm supposed to feel, it's pretense. It's a part of the act of your personality. A lot of your head emotions are all built in already, where you're supposed to feel this way, and you're supposed to feel this way, and you're, so, okay, wow. Somebody dies, and you're supposed to feel sad, and sometimes when people die, we have an incredible range of emotions that are going on when we're dealing with any kind of loss. It's not a singular emotion. Some of them are expanded and some of them are contracted. But if we're not aware at the level of feeling, then we miss the ride, we miss the flow, and we create it instead with our intellect, in the world of dualities, in words, in thought, but we don't get to experience. We don't get to experience our lives. We just experience the thought about our life. Expansion and contraction is an exercise in experiencing what's happening in your life at the feeling level at any given moment. Constantly changing. But wow, when you do this, it's alive. We're connecting with life.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you, Brian.